Hello everyone. Today's story is wilder than you can imagine. Our hero Nick is quite the brave little He found a cigarette butt and some weird powder in the car, and just as he was snooping around, the car owner suddenly appeared, prompting Nick to reluctantly flash his badge. He noticed the car door ajar while patrolling and came to check. Nick asked her a simple question since she was a lady. Her gender didn't match the killer's profile, so Nick left. However, his frequent meetings with Laura annoyed the principal. The principal believed Nick was using his investigation to approach Laura, a conspiracy lover. As a naive girl, she didn't want Laura hurt. To protect Laura, the principal summoned Nick and ordered him to steer clear of her, brandishing a postcard from a blind man's hand. The postcard read that Angie apologized for disappearing, claiming to be all right. What a lucky fellow. Nick had a strong hunch this was a ruse. Even Old White warned him not to take her too seriously, saying Angie might really be fine after all, and that dismembered ham might just be some expired goods from a hospital. But Nick trusted his gut more. Seizing the chance, Nick pried open Detective Taylor's drawer, inadvertently finding a cold case file, only to be caught red-handed by Taylor himself. Taylor was none too pleased and didn't even want to acknowledge this detective. Nick's style rubbed other officers the wrong way, but he brushed it off. The truth was what mattered most, even though he didn't find anything useful in the files. Yet Nick still broke the rules, going to see Laura, waving that postcard, only for her to firmly state it was definitely not written by Angie. This only strengthened Nick's belief that the killer was indeed aware of the police's digging. That night, as Laura was getting ready to freshen up, she suddenly stumbled into an opening plot twist, while Nick discovered someone had leaked the info to reporters. He realized Taylor was playing tricks as had been dissatisfied. Nick went with the newspaper to confront him. Taylor's actions plainly exposed witness Laura, inadvertently drawing out the killer, but he couldn't care less, thinking the case was wrapped up. Even the chief doubts it's a serial case, Taylor scoffed. The postcard proves Angie is alive. If she had met the killer, she'd be 6 feet under. Taylor even suspected Nick was dating the witness and creating chaos just to cover his tracks. What a joke. He actually said blind Laura isn't worth being a witness at all, which sent Nick into a rage, plunging the room into an intense, awkward silence. Nobody could quite believe there he is. Nick realized that guy wasn't the killer, but he feared the real murderer was taking a break. To protect Laura, he quietly brought her home. The two fell into a secretive life amid a subtle atmosphere. They had to calm love life until Christmas Eve arrived. At the party thrown by Old White, Nick ran into a freshly off-duty officer. School said someone called looking for Laura, planning to investigate her tonight. Nick thought, that's not good. The officer assumed Nick was onto something, so he didn't deny it. What a clueless move. But this officer didn't know Nick was already with Laura, and it clued Nick into something being off, so after the party he pulled out his gun. Nick planned the solo mission, but Old White caught him, anxious and clueless. Nick explained the phone recording. Nick guessed the killer likely impersonated police in the call, having confirmed with the precinct. No one had called the school. The killer thought Laura would still be there that night. He was set on finding Laura. Old White was not going to let Nick go solo, so they planned to surprise the killer on Christmas Eve. Soon they heard noises by the fire escape, as if someone was using a flashlight near Laura's dorm. Nick decided to sneak in alone while Old White stayed outside to prevent the killer from slipping away. But when he got to Laura's dorm, it was empty. But Nick heard footsteps upstairs, hurried up to check, and saw the killer taking the elevator to escape. He quickly chased up the stairway, ready for a showdown. As he neared the rooftop, he spotted the killer's trail just as he was about to investigate. Surprise. Nick was knocked out and tumbled back down. Meanwhile, Old White anxiously waited and suddenly realized his flashlight was dying. He tried reaching out to Nick through the radio, but got no response. Meanwhile, someone was approaching from the stairwell. Are you Nick? Suspicious Old White immediately pulled out his gun and interrogated the figure. The figure actually said Old White's name, and just as he lowered his gun, he was attacked, caught off guard. Dome staff saw this unfold and immediately called the cops, leaving Old White's wife devastated and furious at the grim reality. No wonder Old White got suspended. The officer's investigation was swiftly aimed at Nick. The bullet type from Old White matched Nick's gun. Talk about a coincidence. Nick was at a loss for words. Nick claimed he was attacked by the killer and fainted, only to wake up and find Old White was gone. He suspected the killer took his gun to commit the crime, only to realize he was chasing the wrong person. The dorm staff confessed he was the peeping Tom on Laura, making Nick feel bewildered. This theory was dumber than a joke. The officers thought Nick was losing it, causing this mess. Decided to charge Nick with first-degree murder. What a farce. Nick was completely at a loss. Besides the killer, no one could vouch Old White wasn't murdered by him. Laura, worried, visited Nick. Then, Laura noticed something outside and thought Nick was finally back. Incredible. If you haven't subscribed yet, smash that button now.